before we introduce the speakers for this last panel, I want to remind people that the collecting track we've always envisioned as being bigger than just these extraordinary talks and panels that we have. We have a social room down the hall where we're seeing a lot of collectors coming to trade, meet each of the presenters at the end of every talk. So after the panel, we'll have some time for Q&A in this room, but then you can also meet the presenters afterwards there. We have a number of events scheduled in that room. So tomorrow night, we have the traditional swap meet at 7 o'clock. I think that covers some of the things we'll cover this time. I want to introduce our speakers. They're going to cover a topic that is one of the most beloved topics in collecting over the last 2 decades. If you think about it, Lego toys in Star Wars have really kind of dominated and become the kind of primary and most successful toy line in Star Wars in recent years. And these guys are like the world's experts in it, and they're going to have a really interesting panel for you. So I want to introduce to you Duncan Jenkins, Jeremy Beckett, James Burns, and Graham Hancock. Welcome these guys.
All right, thanks guys. Y'all having some fun out here? All right. Has anybody been to all of the collecting panels today? Anybody? All right. I see some potential complete sets of Star Tots working their way there. All right. Well, as Gus said, we're going to talk about one of the more obscure areas of collecting, and yes, most people haven't heard of this company called Lego.
Little country in
Sorry,
Europe.
What company?
Lego. And
yeah.
Well, we're going to go into that.
Just
so
before
hopefully,
we go,
when you come out,
it is Lego, not Legos.
Absolutely.
Yes, that is true. So we will. Now, if you're asking questions and you ask about Legos,
We will blank you.
that's right. We're that hardcore, okay? So anyway, we're just as we come up with ideas for for this collecting track panels. Different people suggest different ideas, and actually there were 2 groups of people that suggested to do the 20th anniversary of Lego. So we decided, hey, let's combine it into one panel, and so that is the conglomeration that you see here now. Is the 4 of us will present on what's gone on in the last 20 years of Lego Star Wars.
I'll give you a warning now, there's not going to be any exciting reveals, okay? That was done today. So as we know, 1999, the first Lego sets came out, right? Yeah? No. Lego started not in 1999, not in 1998, in 1997 when Lucasfilm wanted to put a construction toy together. Who do you go for when it comes to construction toys? Stickle bricks? Can anybody imagine Lego stickle bricks, Star Wars stickle bricks? No, they came to Lego. But in 1998, that's when the deal was struck. And we have the famous letter there that announced to the world that Lego Star Wars was coming. But it wasn't until 1999.
Now, this was the set that they sent out to all the press prior to Toy Fair in New York. And this is this is the first example that we've got of Lego Star Wars with 2 iconic characters from the series. And this box had all the details of where to go and the address and the times that the showroom was open. And this was sent out. This is a really, really hard set to get these days.
And I believe it played music as well.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
And in a way, part of me wished that they had recreated this for the 20th anniversary, because I think it's a really iconic set.
Now, do we have any idea how many of these were created? Because I hear lots of numbers. 50, 500.
Yeah.
I've heard a couple of hundred.
I heard 100.
Yeah, it's not many. I've seen 3 in my life. And I've been collecting Lego Star Wars since it came out in March 1999.
Yeah.
So, in March 1999, when the first set started to arrive, it was revealed in the Lego Mania magazine. That was the very first time we saw pictures of it. And it was, what sets was it? Can anyone remember?
You had the TIE Fighter and Y-Wing, the X-Wing, the Land Speeder, the Endor Speeder Bike Chase. I think I'm missing one there. Snow Speeder.
There we go. And then, on, what was that special day that Toys R Us opened their doors?
In May?
Yeah.
May 2nd?
May, midnight, something or other?
Midnight of 99, we had the next
that
wave.
first night we stayed up to buy toys.
Midnight Madness, as it became.
And that's when we saw the Episode 1 sets come out. A lot of stores didn't get that initial wave, that original trilogy wave. They got boxes for Midnight Madness. So a lot of people remember that night as when they first got their Lego Star Wars toys.
Yeah, I went back and looked at my cataloging, and I was March 6th was when I got the very first sets. And
March
of course,
3rd.
All right, so you beat me there. But those were all the original trilogy ones, and then I waited until May 4th to get the Lego Episode 1 sets. So.
And later that year, we had the Droid Developer sets come out, and the first Lego keyring.
Darth Vader.
Yeah. And what have we got here?
Well, one of those was from this event 20 years ago, when a promotional brick was given out. It was a Duplo brick rather than a typical Lego brick with the Star Wars Phantom Menace logo printed on it. And the only place to get it was at the very first Star Wars celebration.
And if you thought it's been cold here this weekend, you imagine Denver. You were there.
I was there,
Yeah.
yeah. Outside, in the rain, in the wet.
With much shorter hair.
No, it's longer. It was longer and more of it, but
Different color?
it was the same color, yeah. Oh, no, I guess you're right. It was mostly brown. But yeah, I did manage to get one of the little Lego bricks and was real excited for that. There was a few of the giveaways, and that was one of the Lego ones.
And surprisingly, they are one of the easiest ones to get hold of. And then we had the very first printed Lego Star Wars shirt as well, and it was the Episode 1 logo.
Jeremy, you have 1 or 2 Lego T-shirts, right? for
I
Lego
do
Star Wars.
not. I have 1 or 200, actually.
That's the one.
Last count, I think I'd just broken the 200 barrier, and I reckon it weighed about 60, 70 pounds. It was not random Lego Star Wars images on T-shirts are hard to keep up with, but you've done a good job of that, haven't you?
There's
I
a
fueled
lot.
that for you
I
for a
mean,
long
it
time,
just,
didn't
yeah,
I?
I mean, it exploded about 2010 or so, and they just kept coming, and there's hundreds.
With one of the best ones is that Brick Happens one.
Yes.
With their you see them with a Lego poo, and that was actually done for the Clone Wars game.
Yeah. They had the little tiny clone trooper right in front of a little tiny brick behind him.
Yeah, Brick Turd.
That's the scientific name.
So 2000.
Yeah, we had the first ever Ultimate Collector Series set, which at the time we didn't realise what a big deal it would become, and how many years later we'd still be buying these super detailed models that didn't have minifigures with them.
And how evolved has it been since then? You look at that picture and you look at the most recent UCS set. It's unbelievable. Really is unbelievable.
And at that time, we thought that was unbelievable compared to the original sets.
Yeah. That was a jump up in magnitude, wasn't it? Yeah.
And it came about because Lego had the model team sets that were not Star Wars related, but they were more detailed versions of Lego models than you'd get with regular minifigures and so on. So the designers of those models wanted to have a go at Star Wars and came over and started bringing that level of detail and authenticity and price tag to the Star Wars theme.
Should we have a debate about what actually constitutes a UCS set?
We'll save that for another time.
That could be another panel.
Yeah, Graham and I had that debate a couple of weeks ago with Lego, which was quite interesting.
No one wins.
I've said
No one
everything I
wins.
need to say in the magazine about that. I think that's done.
And what's the next picture we've got here? Graham, this is a favourite of yours, isn't it?
That's the pod race bucket. It's the only time that Lego Star Wars has ever had a Lego bucket released for it. And it's got these really basic pod races in it.
And it's got the starting gate. That was always my favourite.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was its one redeeming quality.
Yeah.
Yeah, barely. Then,
These sets are, well, the sets on the left hand of your picture, these were
contentious.
controversial and
Yes.
contentious sets. These 4 sets were released to try and monopolise on the ability to get minifigures out into the general public. So what they did, they put these 4 sets out. Each had 3 minifigures, a little stand, and a piece of cardboard that actually depicted whatever the character was or a scene. So you could make really nice scenes with these. And they were very popular. They were very reasonable. They were only about £3 or £4 back in the day.
well, pounds?
That's like $1,000 or 50 cents. I'm not sure, somewhere between there.
And one of Lego's rivals, Hasbro, went ballistic over these sets because they felt that they were infringing on their own license for action figures, because Lego were putting out these minifigures that didn't have any other bricks with them, and then that ended up with a huge row.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it lasted for a decade, really.
It did last for a good few years until Lego came up with the Battle Pack concept, which we'll show you later on.
Yeah. And then, Technics.
Yeah, they did the droids from the Phantom Menace
Yeah.
in Lego Technic, and they were really neat because they completely fold up in the same way they do in the movie.
It was almost like a precursor to the buildable figures,
Yeah.
or construction, as you prefer.
Yeah.
A
That's
more
the official name.
attractive version of the buildable figures as well. These actually look nice and
Yeah.
are worth displaying.
I never ever got my destroyer droid to fold up and pop back out again. I was just putting too much force into it. Anybody manage it? Oh, stun faces, look, interaction.
I would actually like them to revisit these with some of the more modern elements.
Yeah, now probably
think
work
really
a little bit
cool.
easier.
Yeah.
And then, at this convention, we've had the Darth Vader bust, and in 2001, we got our first bust, also a Sith Lord, and it was probably the most complicated build they'd ever done to date. It was the first one that was layered. It was a top-down view, and you just built it up in slices.
It was a nice build, but it was, yeah.
Oh, it was arduous,
Yeah.
yeah. But the eyes, man, those eyes. Yeah. 2002 rolls round, and we get a really, really big launch that year. And that was for Attack of the Clones.
Yeah, one of these sets has never been redone. The two speeders from Attack of the Clones are, in my opinion, in need of an update. And they've never been tackled since. So this was the only time that we were able to get those two speeders.
Yeah.
And Sam Wessel actually had two head prints.
Was that the first figure to have the multi-face?
Yep, that was the first
Wow,
figure to have.
That's
The first
I
minifigure
didn't
to
know
have.
that, yeah. And we get the upscaled Django's Slave One as well, which is probably the most ricketiest version. But they made good on that. They've given us some decent Slave Ones since then, like this year.
Yeah, and our first polybag.
Yes. What did that come on?
That was that particular polybag was given away in so many places.
It was a magazine
They shipped
first, I
them.
think.
Yeah.
UK magazine, wasn't it? I believe.
It was UK magazine. It was also at Legoland, Windsor. It was given away in loads of different places.
There was a mail. They mailed them out in the US
Yeah.
to some people
Yeah.
as well.
Oh, that's right. Those thin boxes.
And the little tiny boxes.
Yeah.
And one of your favourite Lego collectibles came out that year.
What, the pens?
Yeah.
With the misprint. Yeah. So we also had our first pens, which were in those odd tubes that you can never get the tops back on once you open them. Don't ever do it. And it's like trying to get a deck of cards back in the box. And our first re-release sets, there was exactly the same sets, exactly the same box, just they changed the number very, very slightly. 2003 rolls around.
Cloud City. Cloud City arrived, set 10123, a favourite and one of the hardest sets to get, one of the most expensive sets to get on the secondary market.
But what was special about Cloud City?
We got, for the first time, flesh-coloured faces.
Yes, accurate skin tones, as I believe the term at the time was
Yes.
called. Yeah, couldn't say flesh.
No, true.
No. We get the mini line released commercially, and
The Snowspeeder.
what was different about this snowspeeder?
This was the first time that Lego had remade a set that they'd done before and redesigned it. And it would be obviously the beginning of a slippery slope, but that was the first one.
Why, have they done that again?
Once or twice.
Okay.
Yeah, once or
Hadn't
twice.
noticed.
It's only 20-something Snowspeeder.
Graham, what have we got here?
Oh, we've got the Millennium Falcon that came with, again, realistic skin tones
There we go.
rather than yellow faces for the first time. And that was the Hoth-inspired Millennium Falcon that they came with. And then you've got the Ultimate Collector's Series TIE Fighter set.
Yeah. Do
the
we
TIE
have an Ultimate
collection.
Collector Series TIE collection there?
Oh, it wouldn't have been Ultimate Collector's Series, would it? It would have been exclusive to
Yeah.
Lego
Yeah.
Shop
it
at
was a
Home.
DTC, wasn't
That
it?
was
Yeah.
the one. And it's the first set to include something based on the expanded universe because it had the droid TIE Fighter.
Yeah, the TIE/D.
That's the one.
Can we remember where that came from? Was it one of the comic books? Empire, Dark Empire?
Dark Empire,
Dark
I
Empire,
think,
yeah.
yeah.
That's what I reckon. It was the start, this was it. This is the pinnacle year in most collectors' minds.
Revenge of the
Or the
Sith.
first of the pinnacle years.
Right, exactly. Where it just all, such a large amount and variation of sets, and it just was the proliferation was amazing from there on.
Yeah.
And we
yeah.
also got this year, this was the year of the light-up figures.
Yes. that's
So
right.
a couple of sets had light-up minifigures with their lightsabers, obviously. lit
Yeah, it
up.
was a good little collection of those. I've still got some of them that still work. You can replace the batteries if any of you got them that they're waning. And 2005 was also the first time we saw Lego Star Wars digitized.
Was any of you in the Lego panel earlier on today?
So
Yeah, they spoke about that in there. Yeah.
Yeah, we had one of the developers in there.
Yep.
And so we had, in fact, we had two developers. We had Jeremy Pardon, who worked
Yep.
on the first video game, and I am blanking on the guy's name,
Yep, same here.
but he worked on Revenge of the Brick as
Yep.
well.
And the Lego Star Wars video game was significant because it was the first time Lego had done this kind of video game in this format. They didn't know how successful it might be, but it turned out to be hugely successful. Like the blend of comedy and kind of easy drop-in, drop-out play just worked really well. And now, again, with that, there's been dozens of Lego video games in this same style done
And
in the intervening years.
And still today, this is one of the better entry points to bring children into the world of Star Wars is through the Lego video games.
And it really did set the tone for the Lego universe at that point.
Yeah,
I think,
it took a lot of the serious edge out of.
Yeah, the humour was there, and it was also, I found it immensely enjoyable to play the games.
It was
Still
my
do.
first time using a console control as well. So that's my milestone for the year. And then we get the magnets. Now this was a little step into trying to get some minifigures out there, because we talked about the 2000 debate with the multi-packs. This was an attempt to try and sneak some minifigures out, and they had little magnets in the feet.
So they looked identical to regular minifigures, but they were solid. You couldn't separate them,
Yeah.
and they had these really strong magnets in them.
And then a sad year. And that was the year we saw the light-up lightsabers retired. And now, 5 more years. What does that mean?
They were pretty successful, so hey, let's do it for another 5.
Yeah, that's it. The license gets renewed. That's the first renewal.
Of many. 2007, Jens, he's the senior designer, so he's the director of the design team. He's actually here in Chicago at the moment at Celebration, and you can visit him numerous times on the Lego booth down on the show floor. So if you want to go and see him and get a set autographed, he will be happy to do that. This is one of his, this is the set that he's most proud of. This is the UCS Falcon, the first time that we got the UCS Falcon. And this was a project that he was working on in his spare time whilst he was working at Lego. And a lot of the designers will design sets, put them on shelves around their desks in the hope that their managers will walk by and say, that's cool, why don't we turn that into a set? And that's what a lot of the designers still do today. So this is how this set originally came to fruition. Even.
When this set did get approved, Lego production was so concerned that it wouldn't sell, and they would have to devote so much time and plastic producing the bricks, assembling the packets, putting it into a box. They were worried that it was going to be the white elephant. So they did a limited run, and that's where you see the first edition box on the front, and it comes with a certificate of authenticity. That was almost the proof of concept. And if they got through that, they would do another run after that. And it was one of the longest running sets, wasn't it?
And I remember meeting you at Milton Keynes.
I remember
with
carrying the
donuts.
box back to your car.
Yeah, and Jeremy carried the box back to my car for me.
Was that a limited first edition box?
It was.
Because there was a short run at the beginning, I think 5,000
Yeah, there's never...
they claimed, right?
Yeah,
that
It was
had a
I've heard
special
5,000 and
edition box.
10,000 banded about. But
yeah. That's it. I don't have mine anymore, sad day.
Yeah.
Never found out what my certificate of authenticity number was, but I reckon it was 1138. No one has ever claimed that number, so that's mine. And
Or 1977.
no, 1138. 1138.
Cool.
2007. What's special? What do we have here?
Well, we have our first convention exclusive, which was a Celebration exclusive. And this was just, it was nice. It was a Perspex cube, and in it was several minifigures, 5 minifigures, all that had been released previously. But a really nice set, and you had to enter a raffle here to actually win it.
Yeah. That was Celebration 4 out in Los Angeles where they had that one.
And 2007 also saw the first year Lego didn't use ABS plastic for a head sculpt. So the Kit Fisto we can see here is a prototype, and it was made out of rubber. It was the first time they'd ever done it.
And then there was a special promotion for the 30th anniversary that saw 10,000 gold-coloured C-3PO minifigures randomly inserted into boxes. So maybe when you bought a Lego Star Wars set that year, you'd get a C-3PO. More likely you wouldn't, but You never knew.
I did hear stories of people weighing boxes and trying to figure out if that extra, going out with the accurate scales, And there was also the giveaway in the Lego magazine as well for the gold C-3PO. That's right. Graham, this is a favourite of yours.
It walks. It's amazing. It's the one AT-AT that's ever been released by Lego.
Do we want to say walks? Lurch?
Yeah.
I think it's a decent motion. It's kind of a lurch, but it kind of replicates what happens in the film. It's
My
got that
cat
kind of.
absolutely loved it.
It was a cool set.
Yeah, it was. I can remember building it and my little cat chasing it around and batting Luke, dangling off of the midsection.
Now on the right here, we've actually got a maquette that was created by Gentle Giant Studios and it was put on market. This was Luke X-Wing. They did another 4 of these, and these were really, really cool. Some of them had 2 heads in the box, so you could swap the heads because they were all magnetized. And these were really cool pieces. And this particular one was available in Toys R Us stores with the X-Wing at the same time, and you could actually get it as a 2-pack.
We also saw the demise of the Megaphone Blaster, and that was replaced by sculpted injection guns. And this is the year of the battle packs as well.
So the battle packs were created as a way to appease Hasbro in terms of not putting out action figures, and they contained 4 minifigures and some bricks to build something with.
2007 also saw the first bag charms. We had a Millennium Falcon, which was the smallest at the time, a Y-Wing, and Darth Vader's TIE Fighter.
And then also the watches that would come out, and you could, in Lego fashion, assemble and disassemble the wristbands as well.
And they're still making them today.
And they still make them today.
Yeah.
They just changed the packaging on some of them. And you have to buy a whole new set.
Yeah.
Oh, the woes of Lego collecting. 2000, go ahead.
Yeah, Star Wars days at Legoland. Legoland California hosted the first one that year.
R.I.P.
Yes.
Yeah, they finished now, unfortunately.
Yeah. No more.
But what was special about the Legoland California ones is they actually got Lego builders involved to come and do a display of their builds. But they did spread around the world. All different Legoland theme parks hosted them.
Yeah, the Star Wars Weekends was very popular with the Disney theme parks, and so this is something that they at Lego decided, hey, let's see if we can kind of capture that as well and replicate it. So.
That's a lot of sets there, some very
That
big
was a big
sets
launch.
there. Yeah.
That was a huge launch, and some really, really nice sets.
Yeah, I'm just looking at some of those so fondly.
Starting to get some of the Clone Wars involvement there.
Yeah. Clone Wars
Not the
characters.
Twilight, though.
And
I
the
liked the
minifigures.
Twilight.
I always found that a little bit of an odd set.
The minifigures were given weird faces that year as well, weren't they? Instead of
right.
having the traditional dots for eyes, they had these bizarre kind of anime prints on them instead. And they just looked totally out of place with any other Lego minifigures.
And then we had the Rogue Shadow, which was the first video game-inspired set, and that came from
Force Unleashed.
Force Unleashed, that's right. Yeah.
Nice set. And then we got the Dropship, which was inspired by a TIE fighter. And this is actually a really nice ship. For me, I'm actually a Focus collector as well with a Shadow Stormtrooper. So we actually got a Shadow Stormtrooper in there.
That was the first one that wasn't the maquette.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But these were actually the first time Lego was allowed to make their own sets. These two you can see on the right, purely Lego inspired. No influence from Lucasfilm. Well, concept design from Lucasfilm, yeah.
That's the first San Diego Comic-Con exclusive for Lego Star Wars. So they repackaged some of the existing Clone Wars sets.
Slipped in a poster and some stickers.
Yep.
Yeah. And there it was.
And we paid extra for it.
Yeah.
Thank them for the
And we still
opportunity.
would.
That's right.
And then there was the first Brickmaster. Brickmaster was a subscription magazine that Lego ran for a couple of years.
Yeah, it was only in the US.
Yeah, that's right. And this was the first time they put a Star Wars set on it. The year afterwards, they combined that with a dropship at San Diego Comic-Con as well. I'm jumping ahead, sorry, I'm just getting excited.
Now, this is something that you got involved with, Jeremy.
I did, yes. Yes, I bought some newspapers.
No, come on. You're being a bit too modest.
I helped DK with the Lego Visual Dictionary. There's a couple of photographs in there of mine.
Cool.
There's a lot of photographs in there. 75% of the book.
And that came with the exclusive minifigure. That was
Yes.
the first book to be packed with a minifigure.
Yep. And then a couple of years later, when they reprinted this, they put the funky little eyes on him.
Yes.
And the second reprint, or the first reprint of the first edition, yes.
And the ultimate visual dictionary.
Yes, and this was the start. This was the book that launched all those hundreds and hundreds of other books that DK have
Yeah,
produced.
thanks
over
for
the
that,
years.
Jeremy.
Yeah, it's all right. It's all right.
And this was also the first year that we got, in the UK, we got, with one of the daily papers, we actually got Lego Star Wars sets.
Yeah, that was fun.
That was
really, really.
I remember going every morning and picking up the paper.
as many
and-
as you could carry out. Because
Absolutely.
yeah,
That was the cheapest way to build a stormtrooper army that there has ever been
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
Lego.
yeah.
And I know that many of the people in the States and North America were very jealous that we could just go and buy all these things for, pennies relatively. So it's pretty good.
2009, we had the first Fans' Choice set,
Yeah, that was the Home One Mon Calamari Cruiser.
and then we had the first MIDI scale set.
Yes, we've only had one other MIDI scale ship so far.
2009, what's this poster? Anybody remember?
It was the 10th anniversary, wasn't it?
Yeah, so we're now at the midpoint of our presentation, and this was the first May the 4th giveaway at the stores. And
As well as the San Diego did another exclusive there, a set of 6 this
Seven.
time. 7,
There was
actually.
7, yeah.
Right, there was the 6th there, and then there was the 7th. And so you could buy them a different one each day, as I recall. Or
Yeah, and they all contained previously released minifigures, so that there was nothing really special about the sets apart from the fact that you had to pay a lot of money to get them.
and then another chant of 5 more years. So that's another 5 years on the license renewed.
Now, the white prototype of Boba Fett is one of the most sought-after minifig polybags that they've done over the period. That was given away at Celebration.
Celebration 5, and that was Orlando. And so you can see there in the top picture in the center, you would work on these little mural pieces, and each one was like a square about this big. And so you can see them putting those together, and then below that is the finished mural. So it was the 30th anniversary of Empire, and so they're doing a nice, very good rendering of a mural of Empire Strikes Back from Lego bricks.
And then we got Cube Dudes as well, and they're the kind of precursor of Brickheads. That was a pretty limited range, and that was San Diego Comic-Con and Celebration of the same year.
Now, these were a very limited set. There's only 125 sets of these in the world, and they were given out to the press at New York Toy Fair. These are like mini-land figures, and what they actually did is that you had Han and Chewie in the box, and then they gave you a bag which had all of the pieces for you to make Boba Fett. It's a really, really nice set.
And that marked what? The opening of Star
Opening,
Wars
yeah.
Miniland
Yeah.
at San Diego. And the Legoland California park invited the local Lego ambassadors down and gave them a very, very limited Han Solo on Tauntaun Miniland scale build to mark the event.
And then we had the first ever Lego Star Wars Advent Calendar. Lego had been doing Advent calendars for a few years and realised that Lego Star Wars fans had more money to part with, so they decided to make this an annual Christmas tradition for all of us. That's
Lego really learned how to milk the cow.
still going today.
And for the San Diego Comic-Con, they had just a cardboard sleeve that was different that went with that, and it had a little art print, but again, to get you to pay even twice as much. But this is the first year now that we get Hallmark involved, and so a little cross-licensing there. Hallmark is very popular with their keepsake ornaments, and so they branched out into the Lego ornaments, starting here with the Darth Vader one, and kind of a unique in that these actually are in more dynamic poses with the legs moving in different ways than the typical minifigs are seen moving.
Yeah, those are very reminiscent of the maquettes that we saw earlier.
yeah.
And these have actually these have actually gone away for the last few years, but they're actually back this year for the first time, so they're available again in October from Hallmark.
So we have the introduction of the Planetary series, which was a small globe and an associated set.
4 series, weren't there? Of the-
Yeah, and we also had, are those chrome bricks?
Yes.
Yeah, we haven't had chrome bricks for a very, very long time.
Yep.
And it was also in the Naboo Starfighter from many years ago prior to this. And then we have, what have we got?
Knights of the Old Republic sets.
Is that what they are? I was kind of...
I think it's the Old Republic, the
Yes, sorry. Yeah.
ORPG.
I
don't know my
went into a
non-Lego
little mini
acronyms.
Dark Age at this point. Learnt my way. And we have... Graham, this is one that you requested, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, that's a precursor to the Micro Fighters sets that are now regular releases that you can buy anywhere. But the very first idea of that was done as a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive,
Yeah.
and they were available in a canister rather than a box to make it a little bit different.
We're not going for 5 more years now, Gux. No.
We're doing so well, let's go 10,
let's
right?
double down on this. 2013 was a big year.
Now, 2013, Lego gave this cube to the press at New York Toy Fair. But this year it was very interesting because there was a blizzard in New York, and many of the world's press didn't actually get to New York. So the number of these that exist for press is actually a lot less than the normal 125. But then the minifigure on the right, we'll show you the next slide. Yeah.
There's something special about this minifigure,
Yes.
and in that most of these minifigures you'll find are not special, because this is the most bootlegged minifigure in existence. So if you are buying it, be very, very careful.
Yeah, make sure it's got the white card. I'm going to tell you what's on it and other things.
So that was released for a very, very small set that Lego did.
So basically this year they were going with a promotional campaign called the Yoda Chronicles. Everything was themed around that. Yoda was on the boxes. That's why you've got the New York Yoda minifigure and press kit. And to kind of make a really big deal about all this, they built a life-size X-Wing from Lego bricks. And
But it
put
wasn't
in...
just a model of an X-Wing, it was upscaled set, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. It was the Lego set that was available at that point that was an X-Wing, built up to human scale, and they put it in Times Square. Hence the I Love New York Yoda minifigure.
And this model is now on display at various Lego lands around the world.
It's just a mere, 5 million, 5.6 million, something like that pieces.
Yeah, we've probably got all of those bricks put together.
So.
We could build it.
And obviously the Yoda Chronicles was a TV series as well as like a big promotional campaign. And Jet 14 Starfighter was a Lego set that was based on that Lego Star Wars animation. So it was the first time that Lego Star Wars animation introduced a new vehicle, and at the same time that was made available as a Lego set.
And then we get our first rehashed UCS set.
Re-released.
No, it's not re-released. This is rebuilt.
Redesigned.
Yeah, redesigned.
Yeah.
We'll go with that.
Redesigned.
Yeah. Apologies,
Potato.
folks.
That's right.
Yes.
Semantics.
Yes. And then we have the magnets, which are now called magnet scenes, instead of the little minifigs on bricks. And we now move into Rebels, and the Ghost is probably one of the most popular sets of recent years.
And what was nice about the Ghost is that the Phantom actually does connect on the back, as it does in the show, which is really nice.
And we also have the introduction of the Micro Fighters series, which are kind of like super deformed chibi, which you get a vehicle and you pop the minifigure in.
Really nice.
And one of the best moments in the Lego movie is when there's a cameo from the Millennium Falcon, and Han Solo, Chewbacca, C-3PO, and Lando pop out of it. And Anthony Daniels voiced 3PO for it, Billy D. Williams voiced Lando. And a kind of fun story behind that is that Lego and Warner Brothers, when they were making the film, really pushed to make sure that this deal was signed to include these characters before Disney bought Lucasfilm, because they wanted to make sure that that was done, dusted, and delivered before it could get overly complicated.
So 2015 brought us the first sets from Disney's Force Awakens, the first Disney film from Lucasfilm.
And these are the first movie sets for 10 years as well. And then we get the introduction of the Lego Star Wars magazine, which is available in Europe, various languages.
All over, yeah. I mean, if you're a completist, it's just impossible to try to keep up with every issue from every country and every language. And
I think I've tracked eight different languages.
Yeah. And
I reckon there's more.
Yeah.
And it's now about to enter its 5th year, so we're just about to get almost the 50th issue is next month. So,
Wow.
it's pretty crazy. And there's a gift every single month, a Lego gift every single month.
And they're different, and they're original
Yeah.
every single time around. And I'm not going to say construction. I'm going to say buildable figures arrive. And then we get Rogue One, which is, of all the different Lego graphics we've had, it's my favorite masthead. The sets were great too. The packaging was just awesome.
And then we've got the Freemaker Adventures sets. So again, first Lego animated TV series and actual sets that were based on them with the original characters that were introduced in the show.
And this introduces a real step for Lucasfilm because they're now allowing Lego to create a separate canon timeline.
The Last Jedi Lego sets.
Including a buildable BB-8, which was a really, really cool figure in that it had, you could do things with it. You can actually make his arm pop out and other bits and pieces. A really nice build.
Twist and roll him.
Yep.
Yeah. And there's something special happened in 2017 as well.
Yeah, I stayed up all night one night.
We did, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. I recall that.
So in 2017, when Lego released this set, in September at the Lego store in Leicester Square, they decided that they would just do an hour's signing. And they brought Jens and another designer over to sign. The guys were signing to almost 5 a.m. It was absolutely crazy.
I remember turning up at the Lego store, and I assumed when I got there that this set cost £649.99. It was, ridiculously expensive. It was midnight. How many people were going to come out at that time of night to spend that much money? I didn't need to buy one then and there. I could wait till the next day on the Lego website. No, it didn't work out.
Lego sold the whole allotment that they thought would last 2 years in less than 4 hours.
Yeah.
And between September when it launched and Christmas that year, it was just a nightmare to get one. They were in extremely short supply.
But if you did buy one or you placed an order for one in that period, you got a
Black VIP card.
And that had what benefits?
I don't remember. I don't think there were anywhere there.
It was hyped up as this amazing card that would unlock huge benefits for everyone.
Yeah, it was the key to One-Eyed Willie's treasure, folks.
Yeah. And it was about as useful as a bookmark.
No, we had some pretty frosty winters, or you could scrape the windows.
That's true. R3M2 was the first of a brand new set of minifigure polybags that came with a stand. This is a brick-built stand, unlike the stand that came with those sets from 2000. This is completely brick-built, around about 18 different pieces, and it comes with a sticker that is the character's name and also a plastic backdrop that goes...
We had no idea why we were getting this either.
No, still don't.
No, but then we got Brickheads.
Brickheads, yeah.
Came out with Django Fett at New York Comic Con.
No, it was Boba Fett and Han Solo and Carbonite.
Yeah. Oh, those Fets. They all look the same, don't they? And then Legoland California and Florida released some curious little builds. If you went over the Lego Star Wars weekend, they were character builds. They weren't Miniland builds. They weren't minifigs. They're just something in between. And they were very cute. And then we get that standalone movie. God, that was a joke. It was Solo. Come on. I'm working hard up here. And moving on, we have...
The first Master Builder Series set. Try saying that after a few drinks.
Yeah, it doesn't roll off the tongue. But it's a concept that kind of fits in between the big play sets and the UCS, and it was after the backlash of Assault on Hoth. They wanted to kind of ameliorate the fan base. We get Bag Charms back after a big break, and Star Wars trading cards, which again are only in Europe. Yeah. Sorry. It's an international company. And then we get 4+. In the year that Lego launched, they had some very basic sets that only used existing elements. So to mark that, they made, 20 years later, some very basic sets with some completely new elements.
Yeah, they're a waste of time.
Oh.
Don't buy
I
them.
don't know.
They're not necessary.
I quite like them.
I got a 4-year-old in to build them, and he loved it. It was
Really
great. Yeah, you're just
Well, they're called 4+ for a 4-year-old. Yeah, they're
Or
ideal.
older.
4
yeah.
plus,
Yeah.
4-year-old or older.
Yeah, you're a bit older than 4.
4 only. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a 4 in it.
In more interesting news this year, they released the 20th anniversary range of sets.
Yeah, much
So
much
these
better.
guys have got retro packaging, like nice silver border, the original Lego Star Wars logos back in silver, and each one of them recreates an existing set that's been done before.
And then you get the figure too.
Absolutely.
And we also get, in 2019, we get a brand new Stormtrooper helmet.
That's right. And if you haven't been down to the big Guinness World Book of Records display, that is made up of the Stormtroopers from the dropship set. 36,000
Yeah.
plus. Well, 36,000 minus 1 plus.
And what's great about that dropship set is that you can get 3 of those brand new Stormtroopers with the new helmet alongside a Shadow Trooper for a very reasonable price.
There you go. And finally,
It only took 20 years.
19.
Okay.
Yeah, 19 years. We finally got the complete Bounty Hunter series. So in the process that LEGO goes through to create all of these sets, they've got to go to Lucasfilm. And in the day, you know, they would fly out to the ranch and or Presidio and get sketch work and things like that. Nowadays, they can just get it sent to them digitally. They can get 3D rendered models, but that's got to get converted. And they use a variety of techniques. Sometimes there's still a bit of hand sculpting. They use 3D printing, and you can see here a couple of examples of that. If you look closely at the Stormtrooper helmet, and particularly the Grievous bodyguard head, you can see the lines. The battle droid, that was a concept head because they hadn't quite worked out the scale. So that's something that never got produced. It's slightly larger. It's about the size of like a Q-tip. And then we got a translucent Chewbacca head as well.
Some of the most popular things in Star Wars collecting are prototypes, particularly from the old Kenner toys. And so there's been a lot of research done into how those were made, the different steps of process there. And so it's interesting for collectors to look at the Lego and to see how those are different and how they're the same, because it's 20 years later, 30 years later, and we have different materials, different ways of doing things. So comparing and contrasting.
So the production, the actual process, Graham and James have been to the plant.
Yeah. It's amazing. Seeing how it all happens and what goes into it. So you've got the raw plastic pellets, and they're pumped through the pipes that you can see here.
Just using vacuum, there's no liquids involved.
Yep.
And they go into the mixing machine.
And then, go on.
Yeah, that puts them into the predefined ratio so that they end up the right colour that the elements need to be. They get moulded into pieces in the machines that you can see in the right-hand picture.
Hot injection molding.
And then once they're produced, the robots come along and take the pallet. The pallet is being electronically weighed the whole time. There's a predetermined number of elements that go in there. And then that particular tray is sent via a series of conveyor belts and goes into storage for a predetermined amount of time.
And on the right-hand picture, these are elements that have been contaminated. And by contaminated, that literally can just mean that someone's touched them and they go straight into the bin. They're destroyed, they're gone forever, and they don't wind up in Lego sets.
They can't even recycle the plastic.
No, so even when you're in the factory, if you touch a brick, that's contaminated because the oil on your hands, they don't know what that's going to do to a new batch of bricks. So they literally destroy the whole batch.
And then another robot sorts out all of the bricks once they've been made. And in the left-hand picture, you can see the storage facility where that robot will place them.
And it goes on and on and on. Think of Raiders of the Lost Ark. It really is like that, just multicolored.
This is probably my most favourite part of the factory because it's incredible. And you've got robots all day that they know that they need to go and get a 1x2 brick. They know exactly where it is in the storage facility. They'll go and get it, bring it down, and then that goes into production to create sets.
And I was lucky enough to visit in 2007 at the height of the Clone Wars production, and it was literally like being on Camino. It was just clone troopers coming out of the wazoo.
And then these are the elements being sorted into boxes. And then once they've been sorted into boxes, they'll be taken to another machine that's going to bag them up.
Through all that process is a lot of hot plastic getting injected in the metals.
Yeah, the molds don't last for a particularly long amount of time.
They're pretty high pressure as well as temperature, and that causes wear and tear. So they got to pull them off the line, and they take wire brushes. They do a little bit of plating on it. These things are heavy and they're expensive as well. So once they think they've fixed up the mold, what they do is they inject typically red plastic. Now, I'm going to get to a cautionary tale here. Red plastic shows up stress lines. So if the hot molten plastic isn't flowing into the mold correctly and they see white lines, they know that plastic isn't setting correctly. Now, a lot of you might recognize that red Darth Vader helmet, and that came out probably 2003, 2004, something like that. Mm-hmm. And it was like the hottest prototype you could get in Lego Star Wars collecting. As it turns out, it was just some guy who'd retooled the Darth Vader mold and run a couple of hundred casts off of it and put them up on eBay. Yeah, so most of those are mass-produced prototypes. They're test shots, that's all they are, but yeah.
I mean, it's very rare that some of these things do actually leave the factory because Lego are normally very, very careful to destroy anything like this.
Especially after this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So this is your section, James?
Yeah, so here we took a look at the different versions of the Millennium Falcon. So the Millennium Falcon is one of the vehicles that has had the most number of versions. So we got our first version in 2000 with these big molded pieces. 2003, we got our first mini version. 2004, we got our second minifig version.
And I like this one because it had the flowers. It was like petals.
Yeah. And Lego have gone back to this version because they realised that this is probably the best version for playability. The UCS. Now, I actually call this the third minifigure version because when they designed this, they started off with a cockpit that would allow 4 minifigures. So it is minifigure version, really.
Yeah, we're going to get into that debate about UCS again, aren't we?
First, the back charm.
It's such a
gorgeous.
nice little thing to hold in your hand.
That as well. And then obviously our first mini-scale version of the Millennium Falcon.
That's MIDI scale, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It's only 350 pieces. Our fourth minifigure version of the Millennium Falcon, this time really nice with 6 minifigures. And our first microfighter, and for those of you that got Costco memberships, when they do the microfighters, Costco normally do a 3-pack. And all it is an outside cardboard wrapper with the 3 boxes inside, but it's just a way to take more money out of your pockets. 2015...
It won't stop you from buying it, and you know it.
Yeah. 2015, we got a micro build of the Falcon at Celebration Anaheim with a really nice printed tile, which made it quite special. And we got our 5th minifigure version of the Falcon from The Force Awakens. The top one is the micro build of the Falcon from the Lego Star Wars magazine we were talking about before. And that year we also got a mini version from Toys R Us and from Target as well, which you could also buy for $4.99. The UCS Millennium Falcon, as we have it, and today it's the largest commercially available Lego product of its time.
It's also the largest box for any box collectors out there.
Makes a great coffee table.
Yeah.
And we've got the 7th minifigure version from Solo, again using the same petal technique. Second microfighter. This is the only microfighter that's had 2 releases so far that's been commercially available. And we got the Millennium Falcon cockpit as a San Diego exclusive last year, which can be built from just regular pieces. Pretty much anyone that's got a few Lego sets will be able to build this, and the minifigures are the same 2 that came in the Solo Millennium Falcon.
Lego Star Wars animation. I'll get through this pretty quickly so we all actually get out at 7. The Han Solo Affair was the very first Lego Star Wars official piece of animation. It was stop motion animated by Spite Your Face Productions back in 2002. 2005 we had a Revenge of the Brick that we talked about earlier, kind of set the comedic tone that these specials would follow. And then we had the Quest for R2-D2 and Bombad Bounty, which kind of followed on with that type of animation style and length. Then, 2012, the Padawan Menace. Will Film worked on this one, and it was produced by Michael Price, who packed it with gags. It's one of the funniest pieces of Star Wars animation, full stop, Lego or otherwise. And when it was released on Blu-ray, it came with an exclusive minifigure of young Han Solo.
It's Ian, isn't it?
Or Ian, as he's known when he has his badge sideways in the show. Empire Strikes Out followed that one. Also had an exclusive minifigure with the DVD. Darth
Also
Vader
had that
with
very
medal.
famous song, I'm So Awesome.
Exactly, yes. Sam Witwer did an amazing Darth Maul in that one. The Yoda Chronicles was a series of specials. Most of it has been released on DVD now. Droid Tales, Resistance Rises, 2 more sets of specials that were launched to promote LEGO Star Wars. And then the Freemaker Adventures was the first ongoing LEGO Star Wars television series. And Bill Motz and Bob Roth, the guys behind that show, will be talking more about that on the fan stage tomorrow at 11:45. And they understand Star Wars ridiculously well, and they're very entertaining to listen to. And they also worked on All Stars, which is the very latest piece of LEGO Star Wars animation.
Now, as we found out today, LEGO animation doesn't stop in 2018. There's actually a new project in 2019. And if you have kids who like to kind of create LEGO stories, LEGO battles, you can go down to the LEGO booth, sign them up, they'll explain the story, and if they win the competition, they will help to write, animate, and narrate a stop-motion movie with LEGO.
And there's 20 winners. So it's called Project 20. There are actually 20 winners.
So we put together a selection of our favorite sets.
So I chose these two. The original Jabba's Sail Barge is one of my favorite sets. It was a great iconic set, and it's still one of my favorites. I mean, it sat on top of my television in my lounge for many, many years. The other set is the Republic dropship with the AT-OT, which is a phenomenal set. You've got these 2 huge vehicles that combine, and that also combines with the AT-T and the turbo tank, and it was just an incredible set.
No, I agree. That is a fantastic set. I was lucky when I got to go to Billund. I met Jens, and he brought down that set to show me. I can remember picking myself up the floor when I saw it. It knocked me off my seat.
It needs a re-release, or yeah.
So for me, back in 1999, I remember unboxing 7150 TIE Fighter and Y-Wing for the first time. And just the whole experience of it, the box itself, the artwork, the instruction book with little scenes from the film, it was something special. It brought me back to LEGO. So, and like sliding Darth Vader's helmet onto a minifigure for the first time. For me, that set just holds up. It's still awesome. Yeah, it's something special.
And that Y-Wing was the first set that Jens had designed and built.
Yeah, he's one of the few LEGO designers who's been allowed to work on one project for this period of time. For 20 years, he's worked on LEGO Star Wars.
Very unusual.
From that Y-Wing right until today, and he's the design director now, so that's pretty cool for him.
Big up Jens.
Yeah. And the 7194 Yoda, that's an amazing set. It's a one-off, it's a unique item. Building a nice statue of Yoda, and yeah, it just looks awesome on display.
You'd never get his little fluty thing to sit right, though, could you?
All right, so my picks. I love the Rebel Blockade Runner. It's one of my favorite ships.
Well, you're in for a treat then, aren't you?
I'm not going to say. Yeah.
I can think of 1,787 reasons why you're going to be happy.
That's right, exactly. And so the Tantive 4 was one of my favorite sets from all time. And I'm a little unique amongst.
You're very unique, Duncan.
Thank you. That's very nice of you to say, Jeremy. Amongst the collectors up here, and amongst most Lego collectors, in that I keep all of my Legos still in the box. I know, shocking. But so I love the multi-packs, which were there at the beginning. If you can imagine, there's a clearance sticker on there because they couldn't even get all of those to sell, so they put it all together. So it's just kind of fun. There's some real early episode 1 multi-packs that were at Toys R Us or Target, where they would put sets together, seal them up in cellophane.
I'll tell you what, Duncan, maybe the 3 of us will come over one day and we'll build all your sets for you.
Oh, that would be nice. I just haven't had the time, really. So
I know what I'm doing next Tuesday night.
I wake up one morning and just see all the little Lego elves have visited my house.
You a favor. My picks, despite it being episode 1, is not one of my favorite movies. I picked 2 sets from episode 1. This Flash Speeder, when it came out, it was just different lines. It just seemed a different way of building the sets. The Republic Cruiser, I loved the colors. You had the 2 different tones of red. You had the interior. You had some interesting minifigs. It was very swooshable as well, and I'm very into swooshing my Lego. Yeah, the two sets are very dear to my heart.
Now, Jeremy, you've written something special for the Celebration commemorative guide.
I'm always writing about Lego Star Wars. If you do want to know about the last 20 years of Lego Star Wars, there is a centerpiece article in the commemorative guide, which is available down in the Celebration store right now. So thank you from us.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you. Well, questions will be in the room down that way. So thank you for attending.
Just before we go, we four would like to thank you for all coming, and we'd like to thank Lego for providing the poly bags that you received as you came in.